This video will be an introduction to the PyChess.org website. And PyChess.org, or PyChess Variants, is a website dedicated to playing chess variants from all around the world, as well as custom-made chess variants. And I'm just going to walk you through the website. And so here you can see at the top, this is your main menu of places to go, and you can kind of explore this on your own. I'll go over a few of them in a bit, but here's just the general layout for you. Here we have the chat window. You could talk to people to help find a game. As of right now, the community is very small because it's a very niche kind of website. So if you have a friend you want to play with, um, that's the best way to reach out to them. Otherwise, you can talk here and say something like, anyone want to play shogi or something. Anyways, below that, you have a link to some more specific links. For example, you're watching this on YouTube, so you can click this link to come to our channel. You could donate here. And so Discord is where our community is and generally talks and has a good time. And GitHub is basically where the coding takes place, so anyone who can contribute is more than welcome to do so. Please don't forget to check out the FAQ, but in this video I'll try to cover as many frequently asked questions as I can. Now over here in the center is the game request panel, and any games that are openly waiting for an opponent are placed over here. So you can see here that Olekaze is looking for someone to play Tori Shogi with. His rating is 1888. The time control he proposed is 10 plus 20 seconds of Byomi. If you don't know what Byomi is, look that up. And the mode is rated, so this will actually count towards a rating. So if he wins, his 1888 will go up. This symbol over here tells him the color choice, so it'll be randomized between black and white, or in the case of Shogi, Sente Gote. If you'd like to create your own game, there are many ways of doing so. I'll show you two different ways over here. So create a game. Let's say we wanted to create our own game of Tori Shogi. Over here is where you can create a custom starting position. If you know how to generate an FEN, you can do so here. Otherwise, I'll show you how to make one later. You can have some alternate starts which apply to certain variants. This sets the time controls. So this is your starting time back in minutes. And then this is the increment. So shogi games have byoyomi, which basically means that you have once you run out of your time bank of, in this case, 8 minutes, every one of your turns now have, say, 15 seconds to complete that turn, otherwise you lose. And that refreshes each move. And then byomi could also set different periods. So if you have 3 periods, you can run out of 15 seconds 3 times before you officially lose, based on time. Here you could set it to be a casual game versus rated game. And in here you choose who starts first. So if you want to play as black, white, or either. So for example, say if I want to play as black, it'll show up here. Anyways, if you want to remove your thing, just click it and then that's off the board. If you want to challenge a friend, click play with a friend and do the same thing. And this will take you to this page over here where it gives you a link, and you just copy this and paste it to your friend, and they'll open a link and the game will begin. People often play with the AI here, so if you want to test your mettle, let me uncheck this. So random mover is basically an AI that does a random move, and it's basically for learning how to play the game. So I'll just show you that real quickly. So the AI is just doing whatever it wants to without any reason at all. So you just kind of play with this to learn the pieces moves and just play around without fear of doing anything stupid. Let me just quit this game. And so actually, since I'm in the game, I'm going to go over the basic game screen. On the top left, it tells you the variant, the time control, whether it's casual or rated. Many people might not notice, but if you actually click the variant over here, it'll bring you to the variant page, which will go over the rules. And anyways, back here, you see the 2 players. And then of course you have your own chat here. On the right side, you have the move list, which is pretty self-explanatory. You could play around to go forward and backwards. This over here is to propose a draw, and then here is to resign. Here's your time controls over here. And as you can see, my time bank is running down. This is my 15 seconds of Byoyomi. But since I don't want to continue this game against the computer, I'm just gonna resign. Anyways, let's go back. So creating a game with AI, I'm gonna turn off random mover. And our AI on this site uses Fairy Stockfish, which is a highly advanced engine that can support multiple variants. It's created by UBDIP or IanFab. And here on PyChess, you get to select a certain level of difficulty for Fairy Stockfish, with 0 basically being very close to random mover, and 8 being the highest level possible. And I'll keep in mind that even though 8 is the highest level for the AI, it's still not the strongest Fairy Stockfish can play. On the website, the AI is limited to a certain amount of time to perform its moves, so even level 8 is considered quite handicapped for the AI. So if you actually want to get the full experience against full strength Fairy Stockfish, you'll need to download the engine and play against it yourself. This host a game for others is mainly for creating tournaments. So this is creating a game where you don't actually play in, but for 2 other players to play in. Let's go over these last 2 panels. Over here is what we call the variant catalog, and this basically showcases all the different variants we have in nice different categories. So in the bottom, we have the 3 categories of regional variants. So Makaruk variants are the variants from Southeast Asia. Basically got a very brief synopsis of what they're about. So Makaruk, Thai chess, or Cambodian chess over here. And I could click back over here. Again, we have shogi, which is from Japan. And we have a whole bunch of different variants of shogi. So one of the games where we were just playing was Tori shogi. And if you click even further, you'll get a further description of that game. You can access the rules by clicking here. And even from this catalog, you can create a game, challenge a friend, or play with the AI. And you also get a little tip for each variant as well. And in here we have our Xiangqi variants, including Korean chess. On the top row, we have variants that are based off Western chess. So the first one, chess variants, are games that are very, very similar to the original game, with just one slight rule change. So for example, Fisher's Random Chess or Chess 960. A lot of these, like Crazy House and Atomic, just play with the standard board, but with special rules. Placement is you place your starting pieces in the beginning phase. I'll explain that in a separate video. But this is the general gist of games in this category. Moving up one step in difficulty, we have the fairy piece variants, and these are variants that basically are Western chess, but with adding 2 or 3 new pieces, which are called fairy pieces. So most commonly we have like Capablanca, which have the knight hybrids. You can see here it's an 8x10 board. And then most of these games kind of follow in that same pattern. And then finally, the more complex of these Western chess variants are ones that start with the original army, but the other player plays a completely different army. So for example, Order chess, you have the standard chess army over here, but then they play against this Mongolian-inspired army over here. A lot of these variants are created by me, Couch Tomato. And so if you're looking for something quite different, you can try these out. We also have here a couple games that are not asymmetric. So for example, Orda Mirror. This uses the Mongolian army from Orda, but it plays against itself. And then we have Chak or Mayan chess, which is basically a completely different game, but it doesn't really have its own category, so it just fell on this one. So that was our catalog. Feel free to browse it at your own leisure. And then finally down here, we have our news posts. So If you want to see what's going on in the PyChess world, just check out the news. And that's basically the main page. Now let's look at some other things you can do. So I mentioned that we have a lot of Eastern variants like shogi and xiangqi, and for many players, it's difficult for them to understand the game because they're in Chinese characters. So for example, let me just pull up xiangqi over here. Well, actually, yeah, I have my settings set already, but you can see these are Chinese characters in this picture. But if you want to make them something more friendly to you, click on this settings button up here, and you can basically change the pieces and boards for every variant that you like. So in chess, it's the first thing that comes up. You could choose between these 6 piece sets or these boards over here. Now let me go down to Xiangqi, and this is also similarly broken down into category. So Xiangqi is down here in Xiangqi variants. And you can see up here that the default is the Chinese character. And actually this whole left side is Chinese characters, but on the right we have internationalized pieces. So you could go back and forth between these, as well as change the board. So now if I go into Xiangqi, you can see it's the pieces that I chose and they're internationalized. And if I ever want to change it back, I could just go here and do the same thing. Now finally, let's just go over a few other features of the site. Because we have a lot of variants, it's important to have a place where you can learn all the rules. So like I mentioned, you could find the rules in the catalog over here. So for example, if I go to placement chess, click rules, this will bring me to the rules page. Or I could access the rules from this link over here, variants, and you can see all the variants on the left side. So if I wanted to look at order chess, for example, you can quickly read through this and start playing. The next 2 big pages I wanted to look at are the editor. And so the editor allows you to custom make a position. So let's go to Xiangqi, for example, and I can just move things to wherever I want. You could add in a whole bunch of new pieces if you like to create some crazy positions. And as you know, and as you notice, as I'm doing this, this box is changing. This box contains the FEN, and the FEN is basically that position codified. So just keep your eyes on that and you'll see that it adjusts to whatever you're adding to the board. And these are the controls you can do. You can clear the board, go back to starting position, etc. And then from here, you can go to play with machine. You could take a picture of it by exporting to PNG, or you can even go to analysis. So let's check out the analysis board. So here in analysis, you can see how strong a position is and just play games out on your own. So for example, if I click this slider over here to have Fairy analyze our game, it tells us what the best move is from this point on. And it also tells you how strong each side is. So right now, it's giving the red side a 9-point advantage because I just gave red a whole bunch of extra pieces. And it's saying it should go here. And then now it's calculating the best move for black. And so you can just play around, especially if you're learning, it helps us look at different positions and analyze them. But please don't use this for cheating. If you do, we'll have to ban you. Anyways, you could also access the analysis board from Tools, Analysis. And then you can just kind of play through a game on your own. But again, if you wanted to start from a certain position, it's better to do so from editor and kind of create the position that you wanted to analyze, and then from there, go into the analysis board. Now speaking of analysis, I want to show you another cool feature that we have at PyChess. So I'm gonna go back to Toy Shogi, and I'm gonna beat up a random mover. Actually, let's do Xiangqi real quick. So I'm gonna play a game. I'm just clicking randomly real quick just to show good moves and bad moves. There we go. That was a quick one. So at the end of the game, you have certain options. You can rematch your opponent. If it's against a human player, they have the option of accepting your rematch. You could choose to find a new opponent, or you could go to the analysis board. So let's check out the analysis board. And so here's the whole game in review. If you scroll down, you have some additional options you can do. So you can look at the move time it took for each move. As you can see, the AI was almost instantaneous, whereas at least it took me a few seconds to do each move. You can look at the cross table, which I'll do after computer analysis. And then you could also have the FEN and PGN. You can export these and load these for analysis on your own. Anyways, the biggest thing we could do is computer analysis and request analysis. This will send a request to Fishnet, and Fishnet is basically a group of computers that act as a combined mind for the game, and they'll generate this graph for you. And here you go. And Fishnet is basically a bunch of computers operating Fairy Stockfish on their own with the data we send them. And this basically shows that over time, white, or in this case red, gain an advantage with each move. I did something really stupid over here, so it turned back to black's advantage, and then black did not take advantage of that, so it's back to white. And then from here, you can see the bar change similarly. So on this move, you can see the bar shift over to black. And at any given point, you can see what Fairy recommends as the best move. Now keep in mind that this is not full strength Fairy, so this is not the best move, but it's just, after a quick review, what it thinks is the best move. If you want to go further into detail, you can click the slider, and it'll use more depth to figure out the best move. You can see right here it's using a depth of 18. You could even increase that depth by hitting the plus sign, and then now it's going really deep. One more feature we have on this website are tournaments. So on the top left, you can see the next tournament that's coming up, and below that there's a tournament calendar. So this is the list of tournaments that we have being scheduled. And at the time this video is being made, it's August 11th. So we have a Makrook tournament at 10 a.m., a Janki tournament at 12 p.m., and a Shinobi tournament at 2 p.m. So the next one is this Shinobi chess tournament. And here you can see the people that already signed up to join. So to click, oops, did not mean to do that. Well, I accidentally joined a game that I didn't mean to play, but anyways, when you're in the tournament, after you're done playing a game, you could go back to tournament to get a new game, or if you want to take a break, go back to pause. Most of these tournaments are in arena format, so the website automatically pairs you with the next waiting player. So in this case, because I joined just to set an example, it paired me with Prazerdini and Smike, who was waiting for a game this whole time. And before I go, the most frequent question that we get is, are you adding so-and-so variant? Can you add variant like Tamerlane chess or some things like that? And the short answer is no. The variants that we chose are basically like a curated showcase of variants. We have the most important ones that are known. So for example, all the well-established regional variants from standard international chess to Chinese, Japanese, Thai versions. We have as much of those as we can as possible. Those take priority. And then from then we also have the well-known chess variants, like for example, Crazy House, Atomic, etc. And any variants we've added since then are added because they add something to the game or have some certain depth. But more importantly, we can only add variants that are actually supported by Fairy Stockfish because this website runs on Fairy Stockfish. So for example, a very commonly requested variant is Chushogi, which is on a very large board, and the board size of Chushogi is not supported by Fairy Stockfish. So we simply can't add that even though we'd like to. So we have our limitations. And what about games that are supported by Fairy Stockfish? Well, that's basically a video for another time. Anyways, I hope this has been helpful, and I'm looking forward to see you on the website or on Discord. And don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos. So for example, we have a whole series on how to play these variants, as well as additional videos from our community members that will also go on this channel.